So to look back at 2011, by far, of course, the biggest highlight of the year was the much anticipated opening of the Eastlink Centre. Can I have a show of hands? How many people have been there? Okay, a few of you, that's good. By far, that had to be the biggest highlight of the last year. It's quickly become the family attraction in Grande Prairie and is becoming a draw for the entire region. And as you all know, if you've attended, it will contribute greatly to the health and wellness of our area. We've known from the very beginning that the facility would be a hit, and as we look at it, the numbers bear it out. Here's some of the attendance numbers from up to the end of February. Now, keeping in mind that we've only been open for since December. Total paying customers per day, 2,611. Average cash paying patrons per day, people who come in just to buy a day pass, included within that number, over 1,000 people come in on day passes every day to the multiplex. Averaging just about 1,600 membership swipes per day. So those folks who are on annual memberships that attend. Now, and if you're like me and my family, you'll know that 1,500 is probably significantly lower because we don't swipe you if you come in 2 times. And we know that there are a number of families who will go in the morning, again in the afternoon, and again later in the evening, and it's fantastic to see that. Our annual membership sales, administration in our budget had set a target of 3,500, and speaking to the administration, they said, you know what, we know that we can beat 3,500 annual membership sales. We're going to go for 5,000. Well, and I can report to you today that to the end of February, administration has been able to sell 4,100 annual memberships. So they're well on their way to the target, which is fantastic. So if you counted the punch passes, where people will buy a 10-visit pass, and those annual membership sales, the individual people that are represented by all those represent over 12,000 individual members, which is absolutely a fantastic result for such a new facility. Of course, with the new facility, we're still working towards finalizing the fundraising. Many of you, if you've watched the news, will have heard Tuesday about a new announcement. The City of Grande Prairie had a fundraising target of raising $6 million from the community towards the capital costs of construction. And on Tuesday, due to a lower education requisition by the province and higher than anticipated assessment growth within the community, we're in the unique position amongst communities across the province to be able to reduce our debenture borrowing on the facility by $2.18 million. That $2.18 million will be applied directly to avoiding additional debenture, and that will save taxpayers over $100,000 in interest payments. So obviously a sound fiscal decision. Even though we've been able to address nearly half of that shortfall in fundraising, Council and administration are going to continue to work with the community up until this summer to focus on additional fundraising opportunities, and I believe with the help of the Chamber and Chamber members, I think we'll get there. I believe there's some exciting announcements that may even be coming this afternoon if people wanted to attend the Chamber of Commerce mixer that happens to be happening at the Eastlink Centre. In October, the Canadian Federation of Independent Business once again rated Grande Prairie as the most entrepreneurial community in Canada. This is the 2nd year in a row for this honor, and obviously I think it speaks to the strength of our local chamber and our local economy and the efforts of all of you here in the room. Last June, Grande Prairie unveiled a new logo and slogan to complete the first ever branding initiative for the city. Now, as you've heard, our tagline is resourceful spirit, growing opportunity, and we believe that this tells the story of our people and our community. Resourceful spirit references the creative, entrepreneurial, and can-do attitude of the residents, with, of course, a nod to the natural resource sector that's so important to our economy. Growing opportunity, of course, speaks literally to growth, as I've outlined previously, and also the opportunities that abound in our Grande Prairie region. Having established this brand helps us tell our story to the rest of the country, to the rest of the province, and to the rest of the world. And speaking of telling the Grande Prairie story, I'd like to speak a little bit about your council's efforts on your behalf in advocacy and on partnerships. Working with our partners at the local, regional, and provincial levels on an ongoing basis is important for your City Council. We have regular meetings and conversations with our Chamber of Commerce, school boards, Grande Prairie Regional College, the Home Builders Association, Urban Developers Institute, and many, many others in an effort to strengthen our understanding of the community, to open the lines of communication, and to ensure that they remain open. Your council's at work on the provincial scene, in the legislature, and across Alberta. Council's adopted a new framework for how we identify our lobbying priorities, our advocacy priorities, and they're visible to the entire community. We update them on a quarterly basis. Right now, these advocacy priorities include provincial funding inequities, Aquaterra capital funding, the Philip J. Currie Dinosaur Museum funding, looking at encouraging the project to move forward with internet voting, improvements in the provincial transportation network within our region, educational programs and educational capital priorities, the ongoing development of the Shields Health and Education Centre, and the Safe Communities Innovation Fund. And also last July, Grande Prairie hosted here at the Montrose Cultural Centre a meeting of Alberta's mid-sized city mayors. At that meeting, Grande Prairie is able to connect into other urban centres of our size and really show a combined voice to the provincial government. After that meeting in July, the mayors sent a co-signed letter to the government opposed to the proposed motor vehicle search fee. And we have to say that shortly after, the province was kind enough to scrap that fee, which saved local taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I believe it shows the strength of mid-sized cities working together and your role and the role that Grande Prairie plays on your behalf within that group. The City of Grande Prairie is also a member of the Alberta Urban Municipalities Association, which has launched an education campaign to urge a new relationship between municipalities and the province. It's a startling fact when you recognize that for every $1 paid in taxes across Canada to any level of government, just 10 cents goes to local communities. And if you think about that, the services that you value the most, that you use day in and day out, are delivered by your local community. We believe that it's time to have a reorganization of the financial inequity in that system to ensure that local communities like Grande Prairie, like the county, like all of our regional municipalities, can be fiscally sustainable and responsive to the needs of their residents. Clearly, it makes sense to revisit that 90-10 split in funding scenario so that municipalities can have the resources to do their jobs and deliver the services that you all expect. So that's the broad view of the work of City Council over the past year. In the coming year, I believe you're going to see us working towards some of those initiatives outlined in our strategic plan, and we believe that we're going to make good headway on some of our long-term priorities. I really want to thank all the city staff who've helped in the preparation of the presentation. I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce again for hosting, and I'd like to thank all of you, not just for attending here today, but also for your efforts out in the community and your efforts on behalf of our community. Ultimately, as I said before about the love of cities, Council plays a role in creating what kind of community is, but all of you play a much, much larger role in your day-to-day lives. It's the experience that people have of Grande Prairie is the experience you create when you meet with them on the street, when you talk with them across the grocery counter, when you interact with them at business. And I want to encourage each and every one of you to remember that and remember how important you are to our community. So thank you very much for having me today.